I'm having fun riding this quirky Chinese motorcycle. All right, here we are with a CFMoto 700 CLX Sport. Let's do a little walk around here. We've got a LED light. We've got some high-vis yellow. Some cool intakes here. It's a good-looking bike. We've got a 700 parallel twin here. It's got some parts on it. You know, it's got the Brembos, steel braided brake lines. This wild-looking exhaust. How about that? That's pretty cool. Some carbon fiber bits here. Is that real? I don't know. Let's see. We've got an LED dash. Simple. Okay. Let's go for a ride and see what this thing's all about. So what makes this the Sport? Well, the Sport has the Brembos and it has the clip-ons. So there's another model. There's another model that has higher handlebars, you know, full handlebars and a different seat. Let's see. Where's neutral in this puppy? Woo! Sensitive neutral. There it is. There's not much clutch play there. Where's Sport? Oh, we're in Sport mode. Okay. It's got cruise control. It's got a rusty triple tree bolt there. Okay. Let's go for a ride. It's got a pretty aggressive riding position. But it's not bad. It's not uncomfortable. You know, I'm not laying down on the tank. The engine has a nice little thump to it. A little parallel thump going on there. Blah, 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 blah. There's hardly any take up in that clutch. All right. Up to 45 miles an hour here. Very firm suspension. Or is it just the seat? We'll have to see here. Okay, well, I think that it doesn't feel very flickable, that's for sure. I wonder what this thing weighs. I'll dig up the specs and put it on the screen. Roll on power. I'm not getting a lot through the suspension. That's for sure. And when I say not a lot, it's weird because, you know, granted this is kind of a smooth road, but I'm not getting any real feedback through it. It's firm, but yet there's a numbness to the road. It's not a bad feeling. I mean, I definitely already feel like, you know, you could commute on it, a daily ride, jump on this thing and go to work, no problem. It's easy to ride. Yeah, those bumps felt kind of weird. It's got a funny little growl. It definitely, it doesn't lack. It goes. I mean, it definitely doesn't lack power. I'm not sitting here like twisting the throttle and nothing happens. I mean, it goes. This bike only has 1,900 miles on it, so it's pretty new. Not sure what the story is on the rust here. That's a little concerning, although I don't see anything else. It's just that one piece there. Kind of strange. The switch gear, everything feels okay. Brian and I went and rode, if you recall, we rode those Moto Marinis. Now those bikes are Italian designed and engineered and manufactured in China, right? As opposed to this one, which is 100% Chinese. It's funny, it's got these like standard bike pegs. So let's talk about the riding position for a minute. My feet are right below me, so it's funny because, you know, they're positioning this as kind of a sporty bike. It's got clip-ons and your upper body's leaned over a little bit. But the pegs are right below you like a standard bike. Yeah, the owner was telling me that the throttle can be a little herky-jerky right at low speeds like that. And I know what he's talking about now. No quick shifter on this one. The clutch feels very strange, almost like it needs, I don't know. Does it need adjusting, or like there's no take up at all? As soon as you start to release, it's moving the bike. It's got a little, I don't know if you can hear the engine growl. When you really give it the beans, it sounds okay. When you're just doing like half throttle, it sounds, it almost sounds like a single. Beaches. All right, we'll go to the beaches. Let's see what the brakes are. Wow, there's a lot of dive. Woo! That is a lot of dive. Be very careful if you grab a lot of brake on this thing. Wow. What a strange suspension, because you don't feel it being that soft on the road. But when you grab the brake, man, it just does a nosedive. The pegs are almost like adventure pegs. They've got rubber isolator on them, and they're wide and right below you, which is cool. You know, it gives you a more comfortable riding position. I personally, if I were designing this bike, I would have put the controls back a little bit, just a little bit more. The dash is easy to read, you know, a basic. It's kind of dated by today's standards, but hey, that's, you know, it works. Now, the owner did tell me that there is a huge difference between eco mode and sport mode. So let's put it back in eco mode, since we're down in an urban setting here, just kind of putting around, and see, you know, what the difference is. See if we can feel the difference. I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but even just a little front brake, just using one finger on the brake, man, this thing just nosedives. Oh yeah. There's no power in eco mode. Oh my gosh, I'm like, it twisted the throttle all the way and it's not going anywhere. That's funny. Here's some bumps. Yeah, pretty soft. I think the funny thing about the suspension is that the seat is so hard. It's rock hard, but then it has this soft suspension, so you get this strange contrast between a hard seat and soft shocks. Yeah, that's all the way. So it I wonder if it's cutting a cylinder out of the equation. It feels like it. Or it's just reducing the fuel mapping to nothing. The turn signal button feels a little weird. It's almost like a joystick. I feel like yeah. You want to be nice and delicate with that. So let's get this bike out somewhere we can actually ride it a little bit. We'll get out of the city and try to find some open roads. Okay, so we're out here in the countryside. I finally found my way to some familiar roads. And we can take it on some curves and see how she rolls. So it's taken me about a half an hour to get over here, just basically because of red lights, but a couple of things that I've noticed on that ride is my throttle hand is completely numb. I didn't realize it when I was first starting off, but there is quite a considerable amount of vibration through the handlebars. So yeah, I stopped at a red light and I couldn't feel any of my fingers. It was so funny. So let's see what she does here in some corners. Yeah, she feels a little heavy to come back in line. She seems to want to stick in the corners nice though. Definitely not what I would call flickable. It's probably because it looks like it has a pretty long wheelbase, like I mentioned. The engine seems eager though, you know, when I start twisting it up into the higher RPMs. I mean, I don't want to say, oh, it really comes alive, but it definitely feels eager. I don't know. You get it up there around 6,000-7,000 RPM and she feels very sprightly. The problem is the suspension lets it down, because you just don't have that feedback that you need. bad. Not bad. I can't say that wasn't fun. It's not the most confidence-inspiring suspension. You know, I keep harping on it, but it's true. That's the weak point. Maybe you could try to play with the settings on there and dial in it a little bit. I doubt it, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the ergonomics on this thing. It's just, this bike comes across to me as just being unrefined. The transmission is way too clunky. The seat's too hard. The ergonomics are weird. All day long I've been having real problems getting it into neutral. It takes me like at least 5 or 6 times to get it into neutral. It has self-canceling turn signals, which I'm surprised. It has cruise control, which works. Let's turn it on here. Cruise control on. Set it at 60 miles an hour. There you go. When you shift gears, you get this weird little snap in the clutch lever. Just kind of funny. But then there's that other side of me that says, I love riding any motorcycle. You know, that old saying, never met a horse I didn't like. Well, I kind of feel that way about motorcycles, so I'm having fun. I'm having fun riding this quirky Chinese motorcycle. Now we're up on the highway. Let's see how it does. See what kind of wind we get in our chest. It's 65 miles an hour. We're at like 4,500 RPM. It's not struggling. 70. That's about a quarter throttle. Lots of wind in the chest. And when I say lots, I mean a lot. I don't think I'd like to go on a very long ride on the highway. I mean, you might be able to put up for an hour with this, but that's about it. I'm ready to get off the highway, and I've been on there for like 2 miles. Let's see what she does at like 80. Roll on power. It definitely, it doesn't feel like it really wants to be doing this. There's 80. Oh my gosh, the wind is just, I'm having to actually hold on to the bars. It's just wanting to blow me off the back of the bike. And I'm only at 70 some miles an hour. Final conclusions on the CFMoto the CLX Sport 700. What do I think of it? Well, you know, I don't want to dog on it. I really don't. Where this bike shines is if you can pick it up for a steal. It'd be a great little commuter bike. It might be a good little first bike. I could pick it apart. The seat's too hard. The ergonomics are kind of weird. The transmission is clunky. The suspension is just bad. But other than that, if you're just cruising it around, you know, want to do a little bit of some spirited riding, I wouldn't push it too hard, to be honest with you. The suspension just isn't capable enough to do that. Going in with expectations of, hey, does this compare to its Japanese cousins or its European cousins? And it's getting there. It's this just isn't there, right? Like I said, unless you could really pick this up for a steal, I would be hard pressed to recommend it. It's cool looking. It's not a bad looking bike. The dash is outdated. What else can I say about it? It sounds like a single. It's just funny. But yeah, I mean, I've always been interested in riding one of the real, true Chinese motorcycles, and now I have. And I'm not that impressed. I thought I would be more impressed, to be honest with you. Going into this, my expectations were a little high. I've seen a lot of videos and I've read a lot of articles about how much they've come along in the years, but there's still a ways to go, right? Are there better models maybe? Maybe the newer models have refined those things out. But yeah, this one here isn't there. And again, like I've said a few times now, maybe if you can pick it up for an absolute steal, sure, go for it. I would shy away from it, to be honest with you. But I'm glad I wrote it, and maybe your opinion is different. Everybody has a different opinion. So yeah. So with that, thanks for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe and hit a thumbs up if you like this, and go ride a motorcycle.